Good morning once again, War Gamers. This is Ryan for King's Army Wargaming. Again, I'm a fan of Mage Knight, but also a fan of one-page rules, and just a fan about wargaming, tabletop wargaming. What I have for you today is an army building video, and another thought that I want to put in as well for this video is how to get into wargaming cheap as you can, especially if you have old collections as well, and how to revive old wargaming collections through the one-page rules system. So what I have for you today is the kingdom, my version of the Kingdom of Angels for one-page rules, Age of Fantasy. All right, so as you can see, I have this entire army built already. This is about 2,000 points based on the one-page rules, Age of Fantasy. What I love about one-page rules is because it is model agnostic. You can basically use whatever models you have. And for me, who is not adept at building with my own hands from spruce and plastic bits and all that, and then having to worry about painting my army before I can even touch a tabletop and get ready for battle. Pre-painted figures, especially from old wargaming lines, are your best bet to enter into the wonderful and exciting and just awesome world of tabletop wargaming. So for me, that would be through my Mage Knight collection. I've been collecting Mage Knights since 2003. And for those of you that are not familiar with Mage Knight, it was made by Wizkids. There's a perfect video about its rise and fall here in YouTube. And that company really released these wonderful pre-painted figures, and they are still alive right now through the Hero Clicks line, if you're familiar with that. And so I had that in the previous video about why Mage Knight was big in the wargaming tabletop scene, because it helped to put in new players to the hobby just because of the click system. And I've spoken about that in a couple of videos here if you want to check it out. Just because it it forgoed all of the paperwork that you needed and the books and everything that is commonly from Warhammer, which is one of the biggest, under Games Workshop. And so everything was on the clicks for Mage Knight. So the stats and everything, if you get damage and all that, it's all in the figure. But anyway, I don't want to go too much into that. But so here, I'm making a Kingdom of Angels army based on the one-page rule system. This will be for the wifey. So hopefully I can get her on the table as well and enjoy this army. So what I like about this is because if you see these figures right here, these were actually from the Elven Lords faction for Mage Knight. And most of these, if you're a Mage Knight fan, not a lot of these figures get a lot of play. Just because, in a couple systems, there are common figures that maybe point costed too much and you're not able to use them. And mostly, most people use, of course, the cost effective ones. And so a lot of commons and even uniques don't get a lot of play just because it costs too much to be part of your army, or else it would take away. But with one-page rules, it's very everything's balanced. Most of the armies, all the armies are pretty balanced. It's really a lot about tactics, but there's still a lot of gameplay with regards to spells, and you can, excuse me, you can what you call this, customize your champions and your uniques and everything. So this army, the Kingdom of Angels, I got from I got this huge box of Elven Lords right here. Of course, I still have the High Elves, most of the figures that are commonly related to the High Elves. But with Mage Knight, there are a couple figures that were part of the Elven Lords army. You have these Snow Centaurs, and then of course you have this army right here. And so as I was looking at the one-page rules for the Kingdom of Angels, so I was trying to build this army, and so I chose all of these units from the one-page rules army building page, right? So, okay, so the Kingdom of Angels has, all right, Battle Angels, all right. And so I looked at my Mage Knight collection, and what do we have here? A Regal Sky Mage, all right, and it's just perfect. That's just the Battle Angels right there. So, and again, in Mage Knight, I played with this figure, but again, the point cost is a lot. Like that's 51 points for this one figure. But now I get to create all of this formation right here, and those will be my Battle Angels for the Kingdom of Angels. And then, okay, we have the Burning Angels, and there's Frozen Angels. All right. And look what we have here for my Mage Knight collection. I have a High Elven Disciple that has that sculpt, and it has embers on it. And it's actually it's perfect as a burning angel. So what do you know? And so in this army, all right, there's each unit is made up of 3 models of burning angels. And so I have a lot of these which I haven't played for a while, and now I get to use them. So I have a whole unit of burning angels right there. And then the next one that I chose for the Kingdom of Angels army are the Frozen Angels. Oh, look at that! Same sculpt, but then they have this, all right, blue colored flame, which is perfect. So, all right, Frozen Angel it is. And I just looked at the stats here. They have Ice Blade. Okay, they have Ice Blades, right there. Ice Blades. Okay, so this will be an Ice Blade then for this unit. Okay, and for these units they have uh, the flame swords. Okay, it says there for the burning angels flame swords, and so I got flame swords. Right. And then I looked at a couple of nuns that I have for the Elven Lords in Mage Knight 2.0, and then the one-page rules. Okay, we have for my infantry battle nuns. Okay, so I looked at my Mage Knight collection, and now I have these war priestess, and all right, they're gonna be the battle nuns. Okay, so it's just with the one-page rules. I mean, for most of fantasy, it's pretty generic with all of the characters or the factions or armies you have. You always have orcs, you always have elves, and then you have these these spirit beings. Now you have angels, and then you probably have demons as well. In those undead evil armies, you have skeleton zombies. So Mage Knight has all of that to offer. And now I also have I chose for my cavalry. All right, it says here the Paladin Knights for the Kingdom of Angels, right? So Paladin Knights, 5 models in one unit. And so I looked. I wanted to keep the all girl, girl power theme for this Kingdom of Angels army. And so I have these Knights Immortal from Mage Knight 1.0, and these are the heavy cavaliers, right? So these are mounted, and these are like high elves. They have swords though, and then in the Kingdom of Angels, they're supposed to have lances. So, all right, another cheap wargaming tip. Okay, I am gonna modify these so they will actually have lances or spears to follow what they have in the Kingdom of Angels. And look what I found. A best way to put spears or lances in your uh, model figures without having to paint. Okay. All right. These are hors d'oeuvres or cocktail spears. Okay. Yeah, toothpicks basically. All right, colored spears, and I got these from Amazon. I think it's like $7 for 2 packs of these and 100 pieces, and they're all colored already. So, all right, I can pick and choose what kind of spear I want to put on these models for my cavalry. You got blue, green, white, and so with a little modification, I'll be able to All right, put these spears on these models. All right, look at that. Okay, uh, we'll see what we can do, but at least I don't have to worry about painting. I don't have to worry about assembling all these units just for me to be able to play. And I have all these Mage Knight collections already. Now, for those of you that don't have this, because this is efficiently a dead game Mage Knight, there's a bunch of figures for sale, whole lots for sale on eBay, or you can find it on Facebook groups as well. I'm a part of the Mage Knight Facebook group, and there's tons of players there that have old collections and they're willing to let it go for a good price. So you can easily get the kind of armies that you want to build for one page rules. And again, the great thing about it is you don't have to worry about painting or assembling. All of these figures are are pre-painted, and they come based as well already, because that's the Mage Knight system. And then now, going back to the army build, all right, for my champion, okay, so for my first champion right there, uh, I had her placed uh, on a griffin. Okay, so okay, I have two champions actually. So they're riding mounted on a griffin, and one of them has the standard bearer, okay, bearing the army standard, and of course both of them have the spears. Okay, so lo and behold, I got a figure from Mage Knight 2.0, and this is the Flame Priestess. Okay, and on a cloud griffin, and not bad, right? Mage Knight actually has pretty good pre-painted figures and nice sculpts as well. So that's my griffin, that's my champion. Okay, and I can take that off and put it right there, mounted right there, and now you have a champion for my Kingdom of Angels. So this army is looking great right now. And this one will be the one that has the standard bearer upgrade. Okay, and so for my Mage Knight fans right there, there's Herald Galanthea, again from the Elven Lords, but for one page rules, she will be a champion for the Kingdom of Angels. So I have two griffins right there. And like I said, my fellow wargamers, there's a lot of Mage Knight figures on sale on eBay. Some of them are on lots. So you can practically get whole formations of these uniques and build your army from there for one page rules. So if you've ever considered getting into miniature wargaming, and if you don't paint like me, if you're not able to assemble units like me and worry about gluing bases or whatnot, your best bet is pre-painted figures. And then you just apply the one page rule set, and I'm going to show you all right, how easy it is to build the army. This is how I accessed the page from one page rules. This is the army builder, the army forge. And right, so you just click right there on which armies you want to add. Okay, and like I said, it's up to your imagination. Whatever army units are here on a particular faction or army, you can just use your imagination which one fits to that particular model or character. And so now I have a 2,000 point army, Kingdom of Angels, for my wife. So I will be very excited to have that on play. And this is just the one page rules site I'm looking through here. So if you notice, they have Age of Fantasy, and they also have a sci-fi line. So if you're ever into that, and mind you, Mage Knight will also have a couple figures that will fit into that theme. I'm thinking most of the Atlantean Empire can be kind of like sci-fi because of the guns and all that. But I'm more into Age of Fantasy, so I have that as well. So for my fellow Mage Knight old school gamers, I'm not leaving Mage Knight. I love Mage Knight. Mage Knight, I believe, is really great for skirmishes. But I was just looking for something for large scale battles that won't require, too long to finish. Because with Mage Knight, each is you have the dials for each figure right here. Okay, for my Mage Knight fans out there, if you play a conquest game with a bunch of whole formations and figures, then it takes time for a 5 unit formation to go against another 5 units because they practically fight hand to hand, one to one. All right. But with one page rules, just like Warhammer, each formation of units can go against one formation, and relatively you can decide among those two formations which of them won. Right. So this is great. I love the one page rule systems for large scale battles where you can display and have all these, just a bunch of figures and models and formations that you can have on the tabletop. Again, Mage Knight, I won't leave it, of course. I love it. I've always said MK forever. It's great, especially for skirmishes, because it's more one to one, and you have these dials, individually for each model. But I'd like to show you a little bit of my collection of Mage Knight, and I'll have a couple more videos after this. It's just, one page rules just opened a can. So for my Mage Knight war gamers right there, old school fans, this is another way for us to enjoy our Mage Knight collection and to try out a different system, and another way for us to enjoy our collection aside from the Mage Knight rules. And also another thing is it allows us to bring back Mage Knight into the forefront of gaming, in current gaming, because I've always thought about how my Mage Knight collection would fare against these Warhammer figures and all these other present day tabletop miniature models. So now you can bring them out, and I can actually have my Kingdom of Angels go against present day miniatures through Games Workshop or whatever, or through one page rules as well. So, all right, I'm gonna pause a little bit so that I can bring you to my Mage Knight collection, and you can see that those can easily fit to the many kingdoms that are made available for Age of Fantasy. I'm gonna click Age of Fantasy here, and then if I go to build an army force, okay, so these are the different armies for one page rules. Okay, so all right, let's just take a look at them. So you have the chivalrous kingdom, so it's kind of like your medieval knights, and these will probably mostly be, of course, men, mostly men, I mean human race. Okay, then you have the dark elves. All right, self-explanatory. Elves that have given themselves to the dark side, probably undead elves or all that. And then you have deep sea elves. Right, if you're into maybe the Aquaman or Atlantis underwater. And then you have the duchies or duchies of Vinci. I believe this is from like the Renaissance, probably, with Leonardo da Vinci, with all those mechanical figures that he invented and all in his mind. And then of course the human race would use that. Then of course you have the dwarves, you have the ghostly undead, you have halflings like hobbits, you have goblins, you have giant tribes. Yes, you have the high elves. Again, I'm a high elven lord fan, so that will be on top. And then human empire, and then this one that we just featured, kingdom of angels. You have ogres, orcs, all right, ratmen, the vampiric undead, okay, and the wood elves, okay. So you have all these armies together, and so I'm gonna look through my Mage Knight collection, and I'll show you that it's so easy to make these armies from one page rules and incorporate them, and they're pre-painted, they're already based, already fully assembled. Then you can start your tabletop wargaming. So let's go to my hidden closet for all of these figures. Okay, so we're here in my collection closet, and I featured some of these figures before. Yeah, you see some of my big figures there, dragons, chariots. Again, most of these are from the Mage Knight line, but that's one from Games Workshop, the War Mumak of Harad, and then this one is from Combat Hex. I still have to make an army based on that one. I'm a Lord of the Rings fan as well, so that's a Fell Beast and the Witch King of Angmar on top of it. So I have all these collection from uh, way back. and those are Mage Knight castle pieces. Those are just terrain. But anyway, let's look through a couple of these collections. So I featured this. Right, these are my orcs from Mage Knight, and if you notice the spears, those are basically cocktail spears. I just put them, and these nuns have sometimes haven't been able to play with them, but now I can use them with one page rules. You have an orc there from the combat hex, and I just put it on a Mage Knight base. Right, and so I want to look through some of the factions in Mage Knight here that you can use for one page rules. Right, so I have these Knights Immortal. Right, so um, again, you can use that for your formations. These are knights. Okay, and then these are the dwarves, and I featured this. Actually, I'm gonna feature this later. I might not have put it on some of the videos, but in Mage Knight, there's the Dwarven Empire, which is the Black Powder Rebels. They're more like the steampunk, but then you have the dwarves as well. So you'll have all these figures, and you can use this as well under one-page rules. And again, fully painted, fully assembled. These are some of the dwarves. These are my pikemen. Again, you can use that for my formations. All right. Then I have my orcs right here. Okay. So you can have the orcs. You can use that fully painted. So you have all of that. And then these are like the wood elves. Um, okay. So you have these wooden elf warriors. This is a crystal bladesman. So those you can use for your wood elves army for wood one page rules. I got centaurs right here. So I still have to incorporate that. And then going down here, these are the Atlantean Empire, human wizards. They got golems and all. So those you can definitely use to build an army. These are the undead. I featured this a couple times. So you got these vampires right here. Okay, and then you have these skeletons. So that's your undead, vampiric undead right there. Okay, and a bunch of other stuff. These I was thinking I'll use for the dark elves. Okay, these are from the Mage Knight uh, undead faction. Okay. uh, that's another thing. Okay, these are conversions I made for Lord of the Rings from the Combat Hex line. So I'm gonna feature that sometime for my Lord of the Rings teams. But anyway, you kind of get the idea. So again, like I said, my Mage Knight friends, this is a good way for us to incorporate our collections for gaming. Okay, so these are some of the Mage Knight mounted figures. Okay, those are zombie centaurs. Um, Couple of other figures here, undead. These are the Nightmare Reapers. So okay, those can be your undead vampire army. So again, it's a good way for us to use these if you're into wargaming. Grab a bunch of Mage Knights and use it for one page rules. All right, I'm gonna go back. Okay. All right, and so another advantage I found with using these Mage Knight bases is okay for one page rules. There's some models, of course, the more powerful models. They take a couple of wounds before they actually are eliminated. So with Mage Knight, because I have these clicks base, okay, which has, of course, the stats for a particular figure, right? So if I click this, I'm just gonna focus that. In Mage Knight, every time a figure gets damaged, right, you turn the click and the stats go down, okay? And until you see those three skulls and that figure is dead. So since this is my champion for Kingdom of Angels, and it says on the army list that this hero has a toughness of 9, meaning 9 clicks before it actually dies. So what I can do is, all right, so okay, this might not have enough for Mage, but anyway, I can use this counter instead of using tokens to indicate how many wounds this has taken. So let's say this figure took 9 wounds. Okay, so I'm gonna click, right. So okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, let's say 7. Let's say it has 7 wounds before it kills. So I can use the basis on my Mage Knight figures instead of tokens for the wounds under the one-page rules, right? So that's another caveat for using Mage Knight figures um, to get into entry-level wargaming. But other than that, too, other than using these, taking advantage of these old figs to get into wargaming, Mage Knight in itself is a great, great, great game. And I highly recommend if you want to try tabletop wargaming, grab a bunch of Mage Knights. You can find it in eBay and, like I said, those Facebook groups for these old figures, and you can literally get them for cheap. And Mage Knight is a great way to get the feel of wargaming because of the ease of the clicks, and the stats are all in there. And then you can go to one-page rules. So I'm in love with these two: Mage Knight one-page rules, pre-painted figures, and I'm gonna show you as well how to wargame for cheap with DIY terrain. Okay, mostly I use the papercraft terrain, and that'll be a great way for you to get into the wonderful and exciting and socializing in person tabletop wargaming. Again, this is Ryan. God bless, guys, and hope to see most of you try out these figures and get into wargaming. And please like and subscribe. I'm a local wargamer, and I'm gonna feature this on my youth group event next week. So it'll be exciting. I hope to see comments and feedback here, and just trying to grow this page. And one of my goals really is to get our young people to tabletop wargaming, because I believe it's an excellent way for them to get away from social media and to get to interact and just to be creative and be army generals on the tabletop and just have a great time. All right. God bless once again. Again, this is Ryan for King's Army Wargaming. Till next time. God bless. Bye bye.